A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to our lab class for week 9. And this week we will be looking at HTML. Now, before we hop into HTML, a very good morning. I hope that all of you are doing well and you're keeping up with your notes, keeping up with your lab, your lecture quizzes, and also with your assessments for CIN 535. Now, just a reminder, okay, for your assessments, we have one more short tests worth 10% that we are supposed to cover up, okay? And also we have a project worth 20% which contributes towards the coursework, okay? So that will be out by sometimes next week. Next week is week 10. By end of next week, your project will be already out on Moodle. Now, this is a group-based project, so you will be combining. I'll decide how many group members by next week, whether in terms of pairs or you can have 3 group members, but it will be something on website development. All right. Now, with that said, okay, for week 9, like I mentioned, we will be covering over HTML. Now, like mentioned in yesterday's class, generally for week 9, 10, 11, we go over a software called Adobe Soundboot and also Adobe Flash. Due to the online mode of our classes, we will not be able to cover those specific kind of softwares because I'm not able to find any web-based or any freeware which would be able to enact as Adobe Soundboot or also as Adobe Flash. So what I'll be doing, or what the department has decided, is that they will be presenting the videos. So videos of all those will be coming up very, very soon from next week onwards, and they will go under supplementary materials, and you'll be advised on what the video is about and how you go around doing things. So just in case in future, if you come, if you are in the campuses, feel free to open up Adobe Soundboot and Adobe Flash to get a good feel of all those applications. Now, also do note that this is for this unit CIN535, we're just doing the basics of graphics. We're going to do the basic of web. So likewise, basics of sound editing and video editing, and also basics of making animations. So it's just a basic level of doing things. So if you are a fast learner, probably within 2 or 3 exercises of Adobe Soundboot and Adobe Flash, you will adapt to the software very, very easily. All right, without further delay, now what we'll be covering up in today's class is we will be covering up HTML skeleton. Okay, now just before that, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now this is one of the easiest and the basic languages of creating text-based web pages. Text, or you can have pictures and other elements as well. The very basic website development programming language. Now, to do that, we will need a editor. Okay. Now, generally, when we are in a face-to-face class, again, either we use Notepad++ or we have Edit Plus, and we may also use Adobe Dreamweaver. Okay, now, Adobe Dreamweaver is an object-oriented sort of a editor. That means you'll drag and drop. Now, that is not the ideal way of learning website development. To actually learn website development, you should learn how to code a website very, very properly. One, you should be able to look at the codes and tell, okay, this code has a bit of problem, okay, and you should be able to fix it just by going through it. And also, when you are working with website development and HTML, you need to organize your work very, very well. Now, that is something that does not occurs in Adobe Dreamweaver. So therefore, we will be using a very basic editor. Now, if you have a PC in front of you, a Windows-based or even a Mac, if you have a Mac, please do let me know. So I'll tell you what is the editor that you can use in Mac. If you're using Windows, I will suggest you to open up Notepad. Now, all of you do the same as well. Can you open up Notepad, please? All good, everyone? Now, first of all, what we'll do is with HTML, you need to understand the skeleton. The skeleton, in the other words, is like the structure. The word skeleton basically comes from a human body. If your skeleton is not properly formed, if your body does not have the proper bone structure, it will not look good, and you cannot go around doing things with your body. Likewise over here, if something is wrong with the HTML skeleton, overall your website or web page will not work properly. Now, there's a difference between website and web page. A web page is a single page of its own that you develop using HTML, CSS, or any other type of web programming language. A website is a combination of many web pages. So when you link all the pages together, it forms a website. Okay. Now, with HTML and Notepad open up, we will go over the skeleton. So first of all, okay, when we are doing a HTML coding, you type down and tell your browser what type of document you are creating. So you're creating a HTML document. Now you can do something like this. If you want to, you can write this down on a piece of paper and try it out later. Or what you can do is you can share your Zoom screen in half of the screen, and half of the screen you have Notepad. So in that way, it will make it easy for you to do what I'm doing on the screen. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes to adjust to your screens, share your screens, or split your screens, drag half of it, something like this. Okay, example, I can click and drag, so this goes on one half, and then I'll click and drag, this goes on the other half, and it becomes easy for you to actually go around seeing what I'm doing on Zoom, and you can also practice on Notepad. So you've got 2 minutes, adjust your screens very, very quickly, and then we'll go around and work with it. Those of you who have just joined in, we're using Notepad to work with HTMLs today. So please open up Notepad, split your screens, Zoom on one side and Notepad on the other side. And then I'd like you to write down the first line of code there, okay, whereby we are declaring the doc type. Okay, so you will have a smaller than sign, exclamation mark, in uppercase, doc type. Doc type means document type. And the type of document that you have is HTML, all of it in lowercase, and then your bigger than sign. All right, moving on. Now, once you have written or declared your doc type, you'll again write down HTML in lowercase. And at the same time, now this is the practice that I want all of you to get used with. Now, all of the HTML elements, it has a start tag and it has a end tag. A start tag looks something like this, okay? And you have something like a doc type. Now, doc type is not a HTML element, is just a way of declaring something, okay? So all the elements, they have a start tag and it has a end tag. So therefore, your start tags look something like what we have done. So I'll leave a line and then I'll put down the end tag. So the end tag is going to be your smaller than sign, and then you have a backslash, no, it's a forward slash, you have a forward slash, and then HTML, this, okay? So that's your start tag and your end tag. And please do get into a habit of entering the start tag and the end tag together. Now, do know this with the HTML tag. Okay, now HTML tag is the very beginning of the tag. Closing HTML tag is the very ending of the code. Okay, so whatever is supposed to go for, or whatever code you are trying to insert in for a web page, it needs to go within the opening and the closing HTML tags. So far, so good. Alrighty. Okay. Now this is what I want you to do next. So once you have tabbed this out, now we'll get into a habit of also saving our documents. First, I want you to save this as a HTML page. So we'll go to File and click on, since you're saving it for the very first time, so hit Save. Now put it somewhere on your desktop and give the name of your file as skeleton.html. Your file extension should be .html. And once you've done that, hit the save button. All right. Now I'll go into my desktop and see where the file is. Now, if you look at this, this is my file. Okay. Now, normally when you have something saved in a notepad, this is how it will look like. Here you go. Okay. This is how generally it looks like. Now, when you save it in a .html format, it picks up the icon of your browser. In other words, what it simply means is that when you open this page, it will open up in a web browser. So if I would open this up, there you go. At the moment it's blank. Why it's blank? We've not entered anything in there. Okay, so you'll see the name of the file, skeleton.html. Now I'll give you a minute to try it out on your own. If you have any questions, if you're not able to successfully achieve that, feel free to ask. You have a minute with you. All right, moving on. Now, leave your web browser opened up, because wherever we'll make changes, we'll go and refresh and see what happens. Okay, and your notepad is also opened up. So go back to your notepad. Now, this is what I want you to do next. Straight after HTML, we have another set of tags called head tag. Now, in the head tag, you generally control certain elements. So we'll get to know what we can control. Now, when you're entering your head tag, now main tag is HTML. HTML has two subtags or two portions or two categories, you can say, head and body. Okay, so I will indent a bit towards the right hand side. How do I indent? I basically press the tab key from the keyboard. Okay, and then I'll have a opening head tag. Straight after that, I have a closing head tag. Now from there, I'll insert a line between those, between the opening and the closing head tag, and then I will indent bit towards the right, and another tag goes between head tag and its called title. So opening title tag followed by a closing title tag. Okay, now once you've managed to do that, I'd like you to save your notepad, hit or press the shortcut buttons Control and S to save. Okay, and then go back to your browser. Can you go and refresh your browser? Do you see any changes? Anyone is able to see any changes from there?
No changes.
No changes? Okay, in fact, you wouldn't have much changes at the moment. Okay, why no changes? I'll tell you why. Okay, now if you go back to your notepad where you actually save the file skeleton.html, you're just entering the structure. You're not entering any details in it. Now we can enter a detail. For example, within our head and title tags, I can add a name. For example, we are going over the basics of HTML, so we can write down probably HTML basics. Okay, and then press Control S to save, and then go and refresh your browser. Now, before you do that, let's have a look at what I'm doing. Okay, I've already entered HTML basics, Control S to save. So I go back to my browser, I have a look at my tab name. Okay, at the moment it's reading C drive, users, Monil Gounder, desktop, and the file name. So when I go and refresh, it changes to HTML basics. Okay, so the title tag caters for the title of the web page, and this is normally controlled in a web browser tab. Now, can you go and try this out? If you have any queries, hit me up. Okay, moving on. Straight after head tag, we'll insert a line, and then in alignment with the head tag, we'll enter body. So body tags, it has a start tag and then also a end tag. Please enter that. Now with body tag, what generally happens is whatever you would see on a web page, I mean the contents of a web page, okay? So let's say you have pictures, you have a video, you have some paragraphs of text, okay? So all these are generally entered within the body tags. In other words, whatever is displayed on the browser, the codes are entered within the body tag. So I'll ask you to save this up, Control S to save, go back to your browser, F5 to refresh. You would see no changes thus far. Why? Because you've not entered anything. Okay, now let's go and edit this out. So this is how I'll do it. I'll indent it a bit further from the body tag and I'll write down, okay, insert text here for web page to have some content. You can make this into a lowercase. Pardon me for that. Okay, and after you have inserted that text, you can press Control S from the keyboard to save it up. Go back to your browser, F5 to refresh, or click on the refresh button, and you'll see whatever you've entered comes into the web page. All right. So for those of you who have never worked with HTML, this is your very first simple website. Now, at the moment, it does not look like a website. It just looks like a page with some simple text. Yes, that's what it is, but you have created a very, very simple web page. Now, using this basic skeleton, you can go around creating complex, beautiful, interesting, and interactive web pages, but the skeleton needs to be there in any type of website that you're working on. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll save this file as skeleton.html and we'll leave it there. Okay, so I will close this now, and I will also go around closing this. So what I want you to do next is go and create a folder on your desktop and call it as HTML basics. Now, once you've done that, place the skeleton.html file inside the folder, and then we'll go around creating some new files and we'll place it in. All good? Okay, now let's open up Notepad again. Okay, in Notepad, go to File, and first of all, we'll go and save the file. So this is a new Notepad file. We'll save this as HTML headings.html or HTML headings, or you can just name it headings.html, and I will place this inside the HTML basics folder. New Notepad file, tab, save, headings.html, and place it inside the folder that I've asked to create it. Okay, HTML basics folder, and then you can hit the save button. All good with me, everyone? Okay, now let's go and work and enter the skeleton once again so that you can get well used to it. So you have your type in uppercase, doc type HTML, and then you'll enter your opening HTML tag followed by a closing HTML tag. Within your HTML tag, okay, you have a heading tag, which we call it as just head, okay, and then you have your closing head tag. Inside your head tag, you have a opening title tag followed by a closing title tag. And after your head tag, you have a body tag, which is indented in line to your head tags. And Control S to save. So this is a basic skeleton. Every time when you're creating a web page, you have to do this. I'll give you 3 minutes to get this done. All good, everyone? You still have 1 more minute, so I'll give you 1 minute time, okay? And try to get this done within the time frame given. Thank you, Izal, for your message. So I think you're mentioning that in the body tag we used without p tags. Yes, we did. We can use without p tags. Okay. Now, when you use p tag, it represents paragraphs. That means your content or your text would be in form of paragraphs. But if you're using without p tags, it will not be in form of paragraphs. It's just like this when you have one p tag, so you have it's representing the contents which is within the opening and the closing p tag. It represents one specific paragraph. Another set of p tags, another paragraph, that means a line would be in the middle. Okay, now we can do that. We'll be working with paragraphs in a while, and then you will be able to differentiate whether which time you would like to use p tag and which times you don't. Okay, thank you. Now, once you're here, I'd like you to go and open up headings.html. So with me, I have it in my HTML basics folder, and I'm opening up headings.html. It opens up in a browser, and at the moment, it's completely blank. Okay. Now, what I want to do next is, can you write down in the title, HTML headings, Control S to save. Preferably, what I would suggest you to do is when you are making any changes, especially with which alters the content of your web page, one change, save it up and see whether you have actually achieved what you wanted to achieve. Okay. Now, why I would suggest not to do it, or not to do all the editing once and then go and view it later. It becomes difficult to track later onwards. Okay. So I have entered a title called HTML headings. So on my browser, on the tab, if I refresh, it should have HTML headings. And this is what it has. All right. Now, thereafter, and you move over to your body tag, and within your body tag, we'll go and work with headings. Now, HTML generally has 6 different types of headings. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, heading 6. Now, heading 1 to heading 6 from the largest to the smallest. So let's go and work it out. So first of all, you'll insert in H1 for heading 1, same time closing heading 1 tag. Now, like I mentioned, always enter the opening and the closing tag together so that later onwards you will not forget to use them. And you'll write down this is heading 1. After that, you will go and enter heading 2. And then you'll write down this is heading 2. Next up, H3 for heading 3. And you'll write the same content but change it. This is heading 3. Next one is heading 4. And you write down this is heading 4. You don't have to rush, do it slowly. I'll give you time later onwards. And then the second last one is heading 5, opening and closing text together. and you will type down this is heading 5, and finally heading 6, and you will quote it out as this is heading 6. Okay, I'll give you about 3 minutes to get this done. And once you have done this done, you may hit the save button and see the content on the browser. You've got 3 minutes on you. All right, so if you would save this up and view it on a browser, this is what you get. Now do notice that it's the other way around. The bigger the number, H6, H5, H4, okay? So the bigger the number, the more smaller the text is. And the smaller the number, the bigger the text is. So please do keep that in mind, okay? So that's on HTML headings. After that, what I want you to do is this. Using the same skeleton that you have, okay, I'd like you to go and click onto File and then click on Save As. File, and then save as. And this time, give the file name as paragraph.html. Make sure you're saving it within your HTML basics folder. After that, hit the save button. So what I can do is, you'll notice the name of the file that I have in front of me. It's paragraph. Okay, not heading, it's paragraph. It should be paragraph. And if you also go and have a look at HTML basics, you have a paragraph file in it as well. What you've done is, from the existing file, you have saved another file. Now, this is what I want you to do next is, okay, from your web browser, you already have HTML headings opened up. This is what I want you to do is go back to the folder HTML basics and double click on paragraph.html and leave it as it is at the moment. All good? Now thereafter, back to your notepad. So in your notepad, you already have your headings. Leave it as it is from H1 to H6. Now your title, can you go and change it to HTML paragraphs? Press Ctrl S to save. Go and refresh your browser. The name changes, HTML paragraphs. With me, everyone? After that, right underneath your heading, let's go and insert 5 paragraphs. Now for inserting paragraphs, you don't have P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. It's just a simple paragraph tag. So you will insert in your opening paragraph tag, followed by a closing paragraph tag. And then type down, this is paragraph 1. Again, next line, opening paragraph tag, followed by a closing paragraph tag. And then you will write down, this is paragraph 2. Moving on. Next paragraph, opening paragraph tag, followed by a closing paragraph tag. And you write down, this is paragraph 3. Next up, write down, this is paragraph 4. And you repeat that for paragraph 5 as well. This is paragraph 5. Control S to save, and then go and refresh your browser. Notice that this is what I was mentioning earlier. Notice that after each and every paragraph, you have a line. If you don't want to have a line, okay, you can have everything within one paragraph. That's one option. Or you can insert text without a paragraph tag. It'll work anyway. Okay, so you have minutes to work on this. I'll give you time. Okay, all good, everyone? Is there someone who needs more assistance on this, or if you are left behind? Please, if you do not understand this, do let me know. So far, this is very basic, okay? I don't expect you to understand everything all today. Moreover, as we go around doing more and more exercises, we'll have a lot of time with this HTML and CSS. The HTML is quite easy. Difficult part is the CSS, okay? So let's stick to HTML at the moment. If you're facing queries, do let me know within the exercises. Do let me know about it. If you aren't, that's good. Also, you'll need to go and do some more practices once you have some free time on you. All right, so that was on HTML paragraphs. So what I want you to do next is this. Just like we did previously, go into File, and then hit the Save As button. Make sure you're choosing your folder as HTML Basics. This time, can you go and give the name as style dot capital S for style, by the way, style.html, and then click on the save button. File tab, save as style.html. Ensure that you are inside HTML Basics folder, and then hit the save button. Now, what you'll do next is you'll go to your HTML Basics folder and open up style.html. Okay, the tab at the moment is reading in HTML paragraphs. If you look at the URL, it's .html, styles.html. Okay, now what I want you to do next is now can you go and change the title to HTML styles? I'll give you a minute to do that. Change the tab title to HTML styles. Right? Have you done that? So it's pretty simple. Okay, within your HTML document and within the skeleton, you'll go and look at your title tag within the head tags, and you will type down HTML styles, Control S to save, and then go back to your browser, F5 to refresh. So HTML styles. All right, now HTML styles is a bit different from the other types of tags. Now have a look at this. When you're looking at H1, you're looking at a HTML element. H1 indicates a heading 1, okay? It's called an HTML element, or we can call it as an HTML tag. Head tag is also an HTML element. Title tag is also an HTML element. So is body tag, so is paragraph tag. Now, style tags are sort of called something as attributes. The reason being why we call them as attributes, because they have to do something with the tags. Now, what I want you to do next is this. I'd like you to go and insert in 3 paragraphs. Okay, so what I will do is I'll grab hold of these 3, okay, and I'll copy it, Control C to copy and paste it here. Can you do that, please? I'll give you a minute. All right. All of you have done that. So once you have done that, this is what I would ask you to do. Look at your first paragraph here. Okay. Now it reads that this is paragraph 1. Give a hyphen and say red. Next paragraph. This is paragraph 2. Give a hyphen and say blue. Next paragraph. This is paragraph 3. Give a hyphen and say yellow. Control S to save. Go and refresh your browser to see if you have those changes. Now we have not yet achieved anything with the attributes yet. We're still working with the tags and the content. We're yet to apply the styling. All right. Now this is how we'll apply the styling. Now this is a tag, paragraph tag, or paragraph element. Give a space, and then you'll insert in an attribute. The attribute always has to do something with the tag. Okay, so I will type down style is equals to. From there, I have a opening close inverted commas, and within that, I will type down color colon red semicolon. Control S to save. Let me repeat that. Within your opening paragraph tag, you'll insert in the style attribute. Style is equals to opening close inverted commas. Within it, you'll have color red followed by a semicolon. Control S to save, go back to browser, F5 to refresh. What happens? Your paragraph turns red in color. Okay, so styling, you're trying to style your HTML content. Now, let's go and do it for the second paragraph. I'll do it together with you. Last one, you have to do it on your own. Okay, so within your paragraph tag, you have your opening style tag equals to open and close inverted commas. Now I'm inserting the opening and the closing inverted commas together. Why? So that I do not make a mistake later onwards and I forget one of them. Always start tag, end tag. Start quote, finish quote. Okay, you have to insert it together. And then color, colon, and I will change the color to blue, followed by semicolon, control S to save. Once you have done that, go back to your browser, refresh, and turns color blue. Now, once you've done that, I'd like you to go and try it out, changing the third paragraph to color yellow. You have 2 minutes with you. 2 minutes. Get that done, please. Alrighty, to mark that off is pretty simple. All you have to do is to follow what was done previously. So style tag equals to in quotes or open and close inverted commas as you'd like to say it. Color colon yellow followed by a semicolon. Control S to save. You would go back to your browser, press F5 to refresh, and you have applied those changes. Pretty good, pretty simple. Okay, now what I want you to do next is this. Go back to your file tab, hit the save as button. File tag, hit the save as button, and type down as the name of the file as formatting.html. Formatting.html. And ensure that you are saving this file within the HTML basics folder, and then hit the save button. Once you've done that, from your HTML basics folder, open up formatting.html. You already have the notepad in front of you, formatting.html. Now from there, can you go and change the title from HTML styles to HTML? Let me see who guesses it out. Formatting. Good. HTML formatting. And go back to your browser, refresh it up, look at the tab name. Okay, it reads as HTML formatting. Pretty good on that. All right, so once you're there, this is what I want you to do. Okay, now we will be creating a series of paragraphs now. Okay, so in total, this is what I want you to do. Hear me very carefully. I'd like you to go and create 11 paragraphs. Okay, just enter the paragraph tags at the moment. Do not enter any contents. So in total, how many? 11. Okay, so I'll begin off with you and you can do it together with me. Inlined. Okay, so opening paragraph tag followed by a closing paragraph tag. So you've inserted one. What I want you to do next is copy this and then next line, paste. It's 3, 4, 5, and go to 11, 6. All good, everyone? I'll give you a minute to get that done. Now, on your very first set of paragraph tags, this is what I want you to write. Write down this text is, this text sorry, pardon me, write it down somewhere in which it makes it easy for you to understand. Yeah, write down this text is bold. After that, you write down this text is italicized. Next one, this text is underlined. Don't forget your full stops. Okay. Next up, this text is strong. This text is emphasized. Sized. Full stop. Next up, this text is mugged. This text is small. Next up, this text is deleted. After that, this text is inserted. Next up, this paragraph uses subscript. Example H2O. And the last one that you have over there is this paragraph uses superscript, lowercase. Example A2. Okay, you have about 3 minutes to get this done. And then from there, we'll work on these things. By the way, this is your second last exercise for the day. Okay, it will take us some time to get this done. While you're doing it, if you have any questions in your mind, if something seems rather complicated or perplexed, feel free to let me know, please. Feel free to ask questions. Okay, is there anyone who needs some more time? Anyone needs some more time? Please unmute and let me know. No? All good? Okay, if all is good, need some more time? Who was it?
No, sir.
Okay. All of you okay? All right, so let's continue. Okay, now we'll go and insert in some text. Now this text is bold, so we'll just go and make the word text bold. Okay, so how do we insert or how do you make it bold? So opening B tag, and then after the word text, you will insert in a closing B tag. Now, Control S to save, go back to your browser, F5 to refresh. So the word text is bold. All good? Next up, this text is italicized. That means it's in italics. So opening I tag followed by, do not give a space between, followed by a closing I tag. Control S to save, and then go back to the browser, F5 to refresh. Likewise, we will do for underline. So underline, opening U tag, followed by a closing U tag. Control S to save, open up the browser, F5 to refresh. The word text is in underline. Now, next up, this text is strong. Now, to make a text strong means to make it look strong, that means look bigger. So you have a opening strong tag followed by a closing strong tag. By the way, strong tags that do not have a shortcut, it's just an entire word of its own. Okay, so there you go. Now, look at the difference between bold and strong. Is it same? Sort of similar. Okay, I find strong slightly bigger than bold. Okay, have a look at it carefully and then try to see whether they are different or the same. Strong is slightly different, slightly bigger. Okay, now next up, this text is emphasized. For emphasize, you have a opening em tag. Emphasize is em, and then you have a closing m tag. Control S to save, refresh. Now emp tag, m tag, or emphasize tag and underline tag, it is the same thing. Okay, people find it easy to use it at different times. Okay, I tag, it's not been used anymore just because emphasize tag does the same thing. Next up, this text is marked. So opening mark tag followed by a closing mark tag. Sorry, it needs to be closing. There you go. Control S to save. Refresh your browser. So what happens in mark? It highlights it up. All right, next up, this text is small. Okay, so to actually implement that, so small opening tag followed by a small closing tag, Control S to save, and then refresh it up on your browser. So the word text gets a bit smaller in size. Next up, this text is deleted. So for the word text, DL opening tag followed by a closing DEL closing tag. Control S to save it up, refresh your browser, and that's what you get. Next paragraph. This text is inserted. So INS for inserted, okay, opening INS tag followed by a closing INS tag. Control S to save. Go back to your browser, F5 to refresh, or click on the refresh button. Now, these last two ones are a bit tricky. Now, superscript, okay, is just like saying a squared. So the 2 is above the standard line of the text. And subscript is H2O. So the 2 goes below the line, okay? So if you want to remember it, the difference between superscript and subscript, superscript, remember Superman, flies, okay, above the normal ground. Subscript, remember submarines, below the ground, okay? So that's how we'll do this. So this needs to be subscript. The 2 needs to be subscript only. That means go below the line. So you will enter SUB for subscript, opening SUB followed by a closing SUB. Control S to save. Go and refresh it up on your browser. So the 2 goes below the line. Now, I think you would be able to guess it out how we would do it for superscript. So the 2 only. Now for superscript, you have SUP, sup. Some of you have a habit of saying what's up, SUP, sup, okay? Control S to save, and you will go and refresh it up on your browser. So this is what you get, a to the power of 2. Now I'll give you about 3 minutes to get things, to get all of this done. We have one more exercise that is on comments, so we'll work on that. And also we will do something, just a small exercise before you go, okay? Something additional. You have 2 more minutes on you. Try to use your time well. Okay, finish everyone. Let's move on. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do on our HTML basics is writing down comments. Now, let's go and create a new file. Again, file, save as, and put down it as comments.html. Ensure that the file you're saving goes inside your HTML basics folder, and then hit the save button. All good? Okay, can you go and open that up so that we can see what happens? Now, once you're there, in comments.html, can you change the title to HTML comments? Control S to save. Go back to the browser, F5 to refresh. Now, here's the thing about comments. When you're inserting comments, it is not displayed in the browser. A comment is basically for a web developer. All right. So when we are inserting comments, it provides a set of knowledge. Obviously, it exists in the web page, the backend portion. It exists there, but it is only for a web developer to see what he or she has commented, or for the next web developer to see what the previous person has done. So we will go and work on it. And this is how you go around inserting comments. So right underneath your body tag, I will insert in my very first comment. So you have a smaller than sign followed by an exclamation, and then you write down your comments, and I will say headings. And that's how you close it off. So smaller than sign, exclamation mark, two dash or hyphens, headings, hyphens, bigger than sign. And if you would go and now, if something goes wrong with the heading, it would display in the browser. Okay, remember browser displays anything that goes within the body section. Control S to save. Let's go and see, test it out in the browser. Do you see it? No, you don't. Now have a look at this. If I make an error, if I remove this, do you see that? It comes in. All right. So you need to be very, very sure that you insert in your comments appropriately and also correctly. Likewise, we'll do it for all the exercises that we have done so far. So I'll leave a line between those exercises, and then I'll insert a comment, and the comment would say paragraphs. Control S to save. After that, you will also go and insert in a comment for styles. Now move down, insert in a comment for formatting. Control S to save. Go back to browser, see if you have messed it up somewhere or not. If you haven't, good. If you have, go and have a look at the ones which have been done correctly and implement it accordingly. All right. Now, once you've done this, I'd like you to close your notepad. I'd also like you to close your browser. Okay. And this is what I want you to go and do next. Now, can you go and open up a notepad? Should be blank. Go to File, Save As. Inside your HTML documents, give the name as home.html. So once there, can you go and insert in your HTML skeleton, just a review of things we have done. Okay, so doc type, HTML, and then you have your HTML, opening HTML. At the same time, insert in your closing HTML. After that, you have your opening head tag followed by a closing head tag. Straight after, you have your title, opening title tag followed by a closing title tag. Underneath that, your opening body tag followed by a closing body tag. Me, everyone. So once you're there, what I want you to do is, can you go and open this up on a browser? We'll do some work on them. Okay, in your browser, within your title tag, I would like you to go and type out your name. Your name, do not type down your name. Do not write down your name, but your own names. Okay, your name hyphen my progress. Control S to save. Go back to the browser, F5 to refresh. So your name should be displayed, hyphen my progress. Now, hyphen is generally, or the dash is generally not an appropriate way of inserting something on a tab. So I'll ask you to remove this hyphen and insert in this. How do you insert that sign? It's pretty simple. Shift button and your backslash button, which is underneath your backspace button. Okay, shift and backspace button, and you have that. Your name, my progress. After that, in your body tag, can you go and give a paragraph 2, sorry, heading 2 rather, and type down HTML basics. With me so far, everyone? Okay, so this is what I want you to do. Right underneath that, insert in a heading 4, opening and closing heading 4, and insert it 5 times. Now the first one, what did we learn first today? Headings. Next one, next we learned was paragraphs. Next, what we learned today was styles. After that, formatting. After that, comments. Control S to save. Can you go and refresh your browser? In fact, I would like to insert in lists in here, ordered or unordered listing. We haven't gone through it so far, so leave it as it is. We can always go and modify it later. Okay. Now, once you have done that, okay, now can you go and open up your HTML basics and look at the files? So headings, headings, paragraphs, paragraph. Okay, now notice that headings, paragraphs, paragraph. Spelling, there's no S in here, so we have to be careful with this. Okay, styles, just style. Formatting, formatting, it matches. Comments, it matches. Few differences here and there. So what we'll do is we'll go and eliminate the differences. So for paragraphs, here we'll go and insert in a S. Same thing with styles, we'll go and insert in a style. All good, everyone? Okay, now once you've done this, this is what I want you to do. And when you come back in next week's class, learn about how or what will you do with these heading 4s that when you click on it, it opens up that particular web page in which you have worked with. That means if I would click on headings, it should open up this file, headings. If I click on paragraphs here in the web page, it should open up the paragraphs file. If I click on styles, it should open up styles file. How would you go around doing this? Now, this is your sort of an homework for next week. Now, we will discuss this in next week's lecture class, not lab, in lecture class. So please ensure you learn them, because in your lecture class, I'll ask you to do it. How you'll do it? There's a way in which I will ask you to enter my screen and edit the files. Okay, everyone? All right, so this is
Yes,
what I
sir.
have. Okay, thank you. It was Abish or Ashnil or Abhishek. I'm not so sure. Okay, so thank you. So far, we have used 1.5 hours. Okay, so thank you for putting in your time and your efforts. We will go over the next set of exercise on HTML. We have images, we have links, we have hyperlinks rather. We have hyperlinks, we have tables, we have listings, and some more basic stuffs, forms, and all those things in HTML. We'll be covering it up in next week's 1.5 hours of class. All right. Till then, I hope all of you are doing well and keeping a good care of yourself. See you next week. Thank you very much. Menaka.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.